Nintendo, not that long ago, said, okay, we're going to monetize all Let's Plays and videos that use our copyright. While they're perfectly legally able to do this and the law is on their side, I have to honestly say why. This seems like a questionable move for them, in my opinion. But to be fair, Nintendo is not the only video game industry doing something similar to this. Microsoft basically said not a few years ago that if anyone monetizes videos using Halo footage that they're going to sue them, essentially trying to get some of the ad revenue back and try to fee them for using their copyright illegitimately. Now, Nintendo, on the other hand, is being far kinder because what they're basically saying is okay, you can have the Let's Play, you can use our copyrighted material, but you can't make any money off of it. Okay. Well, what the video game industry hasn't done recently, has done recently, excuse me, is that they've created bad press anytime they've created any press between video games not coming out in the United States for Nintendo and various other systems and games, what have you, not coming to the United States or any other Western country, or video games being essentially locked through always on content, DRM, on disc DLC, same day DLC, and video games basically being interlocked between systems and not being able to trade or share games or use used games or use rental games within the new markets. Video games basically haven't been able to create a very good PR for themselves. One of the few really good PR moves of video games, I would have to say, is Let's Plays. Minecraft, for an example, wouldn't be where it's at without the Let's Plays. It would just probably be another unknown indie game. And it's exploded. Matter of fact, just recently it created a retail version of its own game for Xbox 360. So it's fair to say that good PR goes a long distance within trying to sell your product. What Nintendo is doing is they're shooting themselves in the foot because people aren't going to be making as many Nintendo Let's Plays if they don't let those same clientele make that money. And here's another way of looking at it. Nintendo and various other companies every year pour tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars into advertising. And they pay money into advertising companies to do this. Granted, YouTube videos, you can find regular advertising companies and such, but you're not going to get a huge wide scale unless you get the general public advertising for you anyway. And a good way to avoid any of these high expense fees is to simply let these people get the ad revenue. Yes, it's a quote unquote copyrighted material, but does Nintendo own the copyright to the voices that are added to this of the people playing the game? No. Let's just say, for an example, that these people are using public domain music. Would, in that case, Nintendo own the copyright to the material of the music? Well, so long as it's turned down, no. Well, so long as their music is turned down, no, they wouldn't own that. Let's say that they owned the music themselves. Would Nintendo own that music? So long as the Nintendo music was turned down, I would have to say no. So even on its face value, a lot of it is complete horseshit. And the whole fact that you're using quote unquote Nintendo copyrighted material is bullshit as well because you're using it in a non interactive medium. That being YouTube or whatever online website you put that to. So they're doing as much as they can to screw over as many people as they can, and they're expecting that to increase profit margins. If anything, this is going to decrease them, in my opinion, because who wants to actually create a video game video that they can't monetize? In my opinion, this isn't a greedy move because they're essentially saving all kinds of money in advertising because they're getting free advertising, and the only money these people are asking for in advance would be ad revenue from the source of YouTube or whatever video provider they're putting it to, thus getting money in an indirect way from their actions and not from Nintendo. People calling Let's Play people greedy or deceitful. I look at it the other way around. Nintendo and these various other companies are shooting themselves over the foot for free advertising that's essentially getting paid by advert revenue from a third party. So you're getting all these goddamn people to actually not get your fucking product because you're too fucking stupid to realize a good deal in front of you. As I said, Nintendo is not the only ones doing this. Microsoft is far, far fucking dumber. Because what they do is they outright say, okay, you monetize that, we'll sue you and try and bring the video down. That's a that's an even bigger middle finger. So yeah, I highly doubt the judgment of the people doing these things because they're essentially shooting themselves in the foot for free advertising that they didn't have to pay for. And what do they want out of it? At best, what? $2 to $3 per video viewing of the goddamn video? To them, that would be a fucking steal on any other goddamn advertisers, because they'd probably be charging the company directly far, far more than that. And the money that they're getting would be from the ad revenue. In other words, not from Nintendo. So, I don't get the whole opinion of them doing this. Now, if the whole medium in and of itself, came from a completely non-interactive medium, like say a movie, and strictly that a movie or a book or music or strictly not a non-interactive source, I could see how they could have that huge issue from that. But that's not the case. Super Mario Brothers, to a certain extent, is highly interactive. Zelda is highly interactive. WarioWare is highly interactive. Halo is highly interactive. Fucking Metal Gear is highly interactive. So, looking at all of that, you can't tell me that the whole justification is the fucking misuse of copyright. If they were stealing the video games while creating indie games, I might be able to see that argument. But that simply isn't the case. The only people to whom I would actually say would have a valid argument copyright from Nintendo would probably be PETA, because they essentially slandered their main corporate icon with the quote unquote 3D game, saying that Super Mario was, well, pro animal abuse because of the Tanuki skin suit. Now, as laughable as a joke as that is, I would have to say that if they wanted a good corporate example of copyright infringement, the game that they created that uses Flash software at best is defamation of their fucking character and a severe misuse of their copyright. Now, that is highly different from a Let's Play, because, well, PETA actually used an interactive medium. I believe that also the people that created Pokemon have the same fucking argument with PETA. But the difference is that the Let's Plays are non-interactive, and the games that PETA makes are interactive. And that would make for a far better corporate example of a fucking copyrights abuse claim. Until that argument is made, I have to honestly say that Nintendo and these other companies don't have a leg to stand on as far as their copyright infringement is concerned. Because if you don't actually make any cases for the people that are infringing on your copyright, then you shouldn't have a case for the people that are quote unquote infringing on an interactive medium with a non interactive source. The whole argument is completely askew and completely dumbfounded by the fact that they're misfocusing on the people that are infringing on said copyright. I know this sounds a little odd, but if people are copying your book and then changing it, that is an infringement on copyright. So when PETA actually makes a game that is so close to Super Mario, but not like Super Mario, That's infringement on copyright. When people copy your game, that's infringement of copyright. When people copy and change your game, again, that's infringement of copyright. I don't quite see the same argument with Let's Plays. Because these people, like I said, for the most part, use their own music, they use their own voices, and that's not a complete infringement of copyright. And they essentially take the controller away from the audience. And that's not what fucking Super Mario is or any of their fucking content. The content of fucking Halo is mostly interactive with the exception of the anime DVD that came out a few years ago. Matter of fact, the anime DVD is the only piece of material that they made, aside from their books, that's non-interactive. So a lot of what they say is complete horseshit in their arguments. And in all honesty, I haven't seen much in the side of non-interactiveness within the copyrights of video games. So far, the most I actually know of non-interactive copyrights of video games would go Super Mario, Resident Evil, let's see, what else? Blood Rain, and House of the Dead. And really, that's not much. Oh, wait, Bioshock. There's probably a lot more that I don't know of, but most video games do not actually create their copyright for a non-interactive medium, because that goes against the medium that is the target audience. I mean, yeah, you'd have to do some research and find out which games are and are not, do and do not have non-interactive copyright laws, but it would take too long. And are you really going to tie the hands of the only people giving good PR to the video game industry? It's suffering enough, and they're still doing this stupid bullshit. So how much longer are these people going to continue to shoot themselves in the foot?
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture Science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead.